Welcome ladies and gentlemen, I'm Syndrome and coming to you here tonight with my thoughts on this week's Monday Night Raw. Now, just being 7 days removed from the awesomeness that was the post-WrestleMania Raw, this week's Raw has some really big shoes to fill. Now, we all know it's never gonna be quite as great as last week's Raw. The post-WrestleMania crowd is gone and, it's not coming back until next year. And yeah, it's like I said last week, the post WrestleMania Raw is always the greatest Raw of the year. So I wasn't expecting quite as bigger Raw as last week, but that doesn't mean this one has to be poor. So let's see what they did this week. Alright, so we're starting off this week with a handicap match of Sheamus and Randy Orton going up against the Big Show. And if this match looked a little bit familiar to you, then that's probably because it was. Because, in all honesty, this match was exactly the same match that we saw this Friday night on SmackDown. So, yeah, I didn't see much point to it then, and there was even less to it this time. Definitely since we saw the Big Show lose cleanly and didn't really dominate as much as he did Friday. So overall, this match, I got no idea why it was made, whether they're going somewhere with this. I mean, who knows, but overall, not a great start for Raw. Coming up with a rematch that was pointless the first time around. So, yeah. But all in all, I am happy to finally see Raw kicking off with a little bit of action instead of a promo for a change. We used to starting off Raw with a promo, so going off with a match for a change is, yeah, nice change of pace. But, yeah, overall, not a great start. Well, next up we have our first promo as we first see 3MB coming out to the ring to call out the Shield, which are currently nowhere to be found. Instead, out comes Lesnar and absolutely obliterates 3MB, as it should, which leads to the actual promo, which is Lesnar and his manager Paul Heyman calling out Triple H for yet another match. This time a steel cage match at Extreme Rules. Now overall the promo was very well done, as is usually the case when Heyman delivers a promo. The guy knows what he's doing and he manages to always, even a dull match like, hello, here's Triple H versus Lesnar, again, with a gimmick that is, again, not all that exciting, but he can make it sound like it's the coolest thing in the world. Props for that. So overall, the segment was really good, but I gotta admit, personally, I'm not too thrilled about seeing these guys go at it yet again. I gotta admit, for me personally, it was the best match at WrestleMania. But, yeah, I don't really need to see these guys going at it again. I would much prefer it if Lesnar were to feud with someone else. I mean, there's plenty of faces around that he could have gone after, and that would have made for very interesting and exciting matchups. But instead, apparently, we're going to get Brock versus Triple H 3. Yeah, okay, I'm sure it'll be a decent enough match, but nothing to get overly excited about. But like I said, a good enough segment, and let's move on. So next up, we have Antonio Cesaro versus Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I have to admit this was actually a good match. We saw a very well wrestled match. But matchup between these two guys doesn't really interest me all that much. I mean, Kofi Kingston has been jobbing for a very long time, and to be honest, so has Cesaro as a champion. So, these two going at it, whatever. Even though the match was good, yeah, who cares? Then, Kofi Kingston eventually winning it and becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. United States Champion. It doesn't really do anything for me. So, yeah, overall, we saw a very good match, but yeah, I'm hoping personally this means that we're going to get to see something more interesting from Cesaro right now. That maybe he's going to get a little bit of a push now that he's no longer tied down to the United States Championship scene. But yeah, to be honest, I somewhat doubt it. We've seen him jobbing so much in the last couple of months. I doubt they're gonna give him a big push now. But yeah, one can hope at least. Alright, and we have some tag team action coming up next, which is Team Hell No going up against Primetime Players. For the 10,000th time. Yeah, we've seen this match a bunch of times in the last couple of months and hasn't really gotten much more interesting. Overall, it was a decent enough match, but it was very short and pretty basically just pointless because, yeah, didn't really do anything. I was kind of expecting the Shield to come out, going up against Team Hell No, but that didn't happen either. So, yeah, basically we just had a throwaway match there. It did get announced after the match, however, that we're gonna see next week The Undertaker together with Team Hell No going up against the Shield in a 6-man tag team match, which has me excited. I mean, I was wondering whether we were gonna see The Undertaker in another match this year, and I was expecting this particular match to happen at Extreme Rules, but hey, I'm happy enough to see it next week, and maybe, Team Hell No going up against 2 members of the Shield for the championship at Extreme Rules instead. Yeah, I'm great with that. I'm really looking forward to next week and seeing that match. It should be a really, really good match. So, yeah, overall, this segment was, well, pretty wordless, really, but hey, at least we have something to look forward to for next week. Alright, next up we have Wade Barrett going up against R-Truth. And yeah, just when you think that maybe the WWE is gonna start pushing Barrett a bit again, they make him lose in pretty much a pointless match. Why? I got no idea. We saw Barrett coming off 2 big wins. Well, 1 big win and 1 job win, but okay. It's wins, and wins for Barrett are big wins, so yeah, nice. And this week, yeah, we see him lose an unimportant match against R-Truth. Why? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't expect Barrett to be champion for that much longer. Quite possibly even have R-Truth take it off him. Probably very soon. So, again, hopefully that means that we're going to see Barrett get pushed. Hopefully to the World Heavyweight Championship scene. That would be really, really interesting. And Barrett would definitely be up for that. I mean, Barrett always puts on some really good matches, and this one wasn't actually an exception. Barrett put on a good match. R-Truth got in some good offense as well. It was a good, interesting match, but yeah, pretty pointless, and Barrett taking another loss for no reason. Yeah, again, not all that great. Alright, back to tag team action with the Rhodes Scholars taking on the Great Khali and Santino Marella. And yeah, you guessed it, it's yet another absolutely pointless match. I'm happy enough to see the Rhodes Scholars picking up the victory here, but yeah, against the team of the Great Khali and Santino, I mean, what does that give the Rhodes Scholars? I mean, it doesn't give them any kind of momentum. They're not involved in the championship reign. So yeah, I wish they'd do something more interesting with this. But again, yeah, it was a decent enough match, but again, absolutely no point to it, and that seems to pretty much be the theme of the evening so far. Just fairly decent matches, but all pretty much pointless. Yeah. Next up, we have the Jerry the King Lawler in the ring, um, addressing the new hype that's going around, the fandangoing. Yeah, what do I need to say about this? To be honest, I'm really happy that the guy Fandango is getting over with the WWE Universe, but honestly, the last thing this world needs is another stupid craze. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure this is a good thing. And I really wish that him getting over would have been on the back of his, technical skills rather than, people just doing some random stuff again. But yeah, it's the social media aspect of the WWE. As much as I don't like it, you can't get around it anymore. So, well, there's that. This segment, yeah, it was okay. Fandango coming out and having some interaction with the crowd. It was good, but I don't know. I was kind of conflicted at some points because they almost made it seem like Fandango was kind of going more towards the face side, and yeah, not sure that that's the way they should go. At the very least, he ended with telling the people to go Fandango themselves. Whatever that means. Who knows? But yeah, overall, again, not a very successful segment for me. Okay, next up we have Jack Swagger going up against Dolph Ziggler. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. But first of all, though, I do want to note, what's the deal with Jack Swagger here? At this point, I really figured after WrestleMania he was gonna serve a suspension for his drunken driving, so we weren't gonna see him for a little while. But apparently, the WWE's gonna let this slide now. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind. I'd hate to see Swagger go right now and lose any kind of momentum that he may have built up in the last 2 months, but it does seem kind of unfair. Definitely considering we've seen people get severely punished for doing much less than what Swagger did, and Swagger's just apparently just getting away with it. Okay, they were originally planning to make him champion at WrestleMania, and they stepped away from that probably because of those drunk driving charges. But still, no suspension. Yeah, okay, I'm cool with it, but it just makes me wonder. But yeah, as for the match, we saw a great match actually. We got two very good technical wrestlers in the ring. So yeah, obviously you're gonna get a good match. Also, very happy to see Jack Swagger pick up the win. and get himself back into the title mix. And it was then also announced that we were going to get a triple threat between Alberto Del Rio, Jack Swagger, and Dolph Ziggler, of course, for the World Heavyweight Championship. Which sounds like a very interesting and very good match for Dolph Ziggler. Because, a triple threat match, winning a triple threat, beating two opponents at the same time, always makes you look a lot more impressive. And Ziggler really does need that. He's been, losing a lot over the last year. So right now, now that he's champion, they need to really build him up as, a legitimate champion. So yeah, I like this idea of a triple threat, and definitely with Jack Swagger in there, we're bound to get to see an actually interesting match. I'm not too interested to see Alberto Del Rio in there, but yeah, seeing as he's the previous champion, it's rather unavoidable. So overall, this should be an interesting feud. And yeah, kind of makes me excited to see this match. It isn't actually specified when this triple threat is going to take place. I assume it's going to be at Extreme Rules. I hope it's going to be an Extreme Rules because it's definitely a pay-per-view worthy match, I think. So, yeah, should be interesting. And I have to say, definitely the first actual segment of this Raw that I could really fully get behind. So, yeah, good job. And so it looks like we get to continue with the good stuff for a little bit longer as we see Paul Heyman and CM Punk heading to the ring. And CM Punk, as per usual, cutting a good promo. Yeah, as most of you probably know, CM Punk has been rumored to be taking a couple of months off. And yeah, of course, they had to make a good promo to sell it that, he's either sick of the WWE or something else happens that just rides him out of the storylines for the next few months. And I think the WWE did a pretty good job here. It really made us feel like, yeah, CM Punk doesn't really know what to do with himself right now, and the loss against The Undertaker kind of hit him too hard, and it all looked believable. So overall, a good job and properly sold by CM Punk and Heyman. And yeah, the way in which this promo was done really makes me wonder what they're going to do with CM Punk once he returns. It definitely looks like they want to go more into a face direction when he returns, and yeah, I don't know. I much prefer Punk as a heel rather than a face. I thought his face run was, at points actually a little bit dragging on. And I was really happy when he changed back to a heel. And I still am. I still really like him as a heel. So, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, they can just keep him with this persona and I'll be perfectly happy with it. But, I don't know. Looking at this promo, I think maybe they're looking in another direction. But, hey, that's something we'll get to see, sadly enough, in a couple of months. And until then, we're going to have to miss CM Punk. And yeah, to be honest, that is going to be a pretty big miss on Raw. So, sadly enough, but overall, a very good segment. So, let's move on. Alright, next up we have some Divas action. Yay! We have Nikki Bella going up against Kalin in your average Diva matchup. It had a couple of interesting twists to it, definitely with the two Bellas switching at the end, and Nikki picking up the actual victory. For a Divas match, this match wasn't actually that bad, so overall I was fairly impressed by it, but yeah, it's still a Divas match, and I'm still not interested. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, the Divas division is just absolutely and completely dead. So, yeah, unless they do something really, really big with that division sometime really soon, I don't see that ever changing either. So, yeah, overall, yeah, a decent enough match, but again, fairly pointless. So let's move on to the last segment then. Alright, so we're ending tonight with John Cena and Ryback in the ring. Now, earlier on in the evening, we get to see a pre recorded promo by Ryback, which was actually, surprisingly enough, very good. I thought Ryback looked very impressive in that promo, definitely considering that we haven't really seen much of his more charismatic side, if you can even call it that. But the promo was very well done. Ryback delivered it properly and had a good number of interesting flashbacks in it to his previous matches, and it kind of explained his state of mind, and which then led to the segment at the end of the show now, where we get to see Cena call out Ryback. And, they go back and forth a little bit. Well, back and forth. Cena does his usual thing with a little bit more intensity than usual, as we're now seeing a little bit more from Cena. Definitely, since winning the title back now, we get to see a little bit more intensity from him, which is great. It's just fine. It's at least a little bit different from what we're used to seeing. It's not exactly the huge change that Cena needs to become, interesting again, but at the very least, it's something. So, yeah, okay, fair enough. But eventually, Ryback walks away from the ring, out comes the Shield, and attacks Cena. Alright, cool. Properly done segment, and actually very well done overall, just by everyone involved. Ryback standing there next to the ring, watching the Shield obliterate Cena, was a nice little touch, and yeah, it does definitely seem to indicate that Ryback is going the heel route now, which I'm not all that sure about, but yeah, overall, just a very good promo, if just kind of badly timed, in my opinion. I don't really agree with this happening right now, because it seems like they're going to just feed this new heel Ryback to Cena at Extreme Rules, and yeah, at that point, what's gonna happen to Ryback? He's gonna have yet another loss at his hands at a pay-per-view, because let's face it, Cena's not going to lose at Extreme Rules. I mean, they're not going to put their title on their biggest guy to have him lose it at the next pay-per-view. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, and at that point, since he's heel, he'll no longer have the crowd behind him to chant his, feed me more stuff. And basically, this has me worried that at that point, Ryback's pretty basically just going to be dead. He's still got no wins at a pay-per-view and no more crowd support behind him, so what's left? Absolutely nothing. So, yeah, overall, a very good segment, but kind of ill-timed in my opinion. So, what did I think of the show overall? Yeah, it sure as hell wasn't quite as great as last week's Raw. That's for sure. But, yeah, overall, it was decent enough still, but could have been a lot better if they had, given us a couple more interesting matches. Or at the very least, relevant matches. Because really, if you're honest, the only match that had any kind of, point to it was the Dolph Ziggler versus Jack Swagger match. And other than that, we all just had throwaway matches that didn't really mean anything. Even though we had a couple of good matches and some decent ones, yeah, overall, if they don't mean anything, they're not all that great. So, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed by this week's Raw, but overall, it was decent enough. I can live with it, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's a serious step down from last week, and I hope they can improve again. But we'll see. Probably they will improve because, let's face it, next week we get to see Raw from London. So it's a European crowd, which is likely going to mean we're gonna get to see something more along the lines of last week. Probably not as big because it's not just the European style crowd that does it. It's just the aftermath of WrestleMania. People are just in higher spirits, but the European crowd is definitely going to help and should probably make for a little bit more of an interesting show. Here's to hoping. But until then, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you next time.